Bum 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 bum. Welcome to Back to the Future Trading.com's weekly webinar review. My name is Michael Leidick. I am the founding partner and president at Back to the Future Trading, and it is my honor to be here today with you and share what I've learned over the last 12 years investigating, researching, and training traders like yourself to harness the power of predictive indicators. Just want to start off this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you're at, welcoming you here today. Thank you for coming. Recognize some old faces here today, maybe not old in age, just been a customer for a while. Quick shout out to Ray and Steve. Steve, you still have the most difficult last name to pronounce. It is definitely a respect commanding last name, though. It's good to see you, Mr. Barbathoss. Rich, welcome. Mark, Jason, Barat, good to see you again. Ian, how are you, Professor? Professor of Cinematography, Master of the Pan Shot, the Ian Stevenson's director's cut of Justice League was the best one that I've seen so far. If you get a chance to watch that, it's way better than Zack Snyder's. Hey, Bill. Ukulele. It's a pleasure to have all of you here today. Always go director's cut. Always, always, always go director's cut. I'm going to show you something here as we get started. And then in a second, if you're new to the webinar series, I'm just going to ask for a little bit of help from you in terms of identifying, if you are new, what markets you're interested in examining with me here today. If you're here today and you're new, in a moment, I'm going to ask you what market you trade and what time frames, what size bars you trade it. So Lionel, for example, if you trade the Euro US dollar on an hourly chart, I'm going to ask you for that information. I'll ask each of you, if you wouldn't mind just kind of helping me understand, if you're new here today, what markets we should be focused on. Much of what I do is based on the premise that markets are not random. And one of the first people to sort of espouse the power of the non-random market, he's quite literally one of my idols, if not my idol. And I must have shown this slide, Brian, 100,000 times by now. I feel like William Delbert, WD Gann, was one of the most prolific market analysts who was simultaneously least understood, least accepted. Because what Gann espoused, what he taught, what he shouted from the rooftops was hard. It was hard to acknowledge or understand. It was harder to teach, because if you didn't have a computer, if you didn't have the mind that he had developed, poring over thousands of stock pages and historical documents from libraries, you really couldn't get it. You really couldn't understand what he knew. So there was this gap. But most of what he taught survived the chasm of time. In fact, there were other people that Gann studied alongside of. These are some people who were contemporaries in Gann's lifetime. If we kind of scoot back one chart, you'll see Gann lived from 1878 to 1955. And in that same era, we have Einstein born 1 year later, 1879 to 1955, and Nikola Tesla, 1856 to 1943. So he kind of is born before and dies shortly before Gann. And what's fascinating to me about this time is that these men produced ideas that outlived them. Meaning, if we go back and look at Nikola, we see that he was the inventor of the radio. He predicted that pictures could be transmitted wirelessly. He predicted that we could transmit electricity through the air, and was bankrupted as a result of his philanthropic ideals. He wanted everyone in the world to have access to the energy of the ionosphere. And I think he was a man before his time, but history bears out his theories. Everything he said, from the invention of alternating current in defiance of Thomas Edison and his investors, all the way through the projection of pictures through the air and the wireless transmission of electricity, have been borne out. I come to everyone here today with as equal a supply of conviction with regard to Gann, because much of what he said was what my mom would refer to as cuckoo. It was her way of saying crazy, crazy cuckoo. And in the early part of the previous century, Gann gave an interview. And there's something very interesting about that interview that I wanted to highlight for each of you right now and show you an example that will hopefully lend credibility to what I'm going to show you. That was interesting. What I'm going to show you here today. It appears Mr. Gann has developed an entirely new idea as to the principles governing stock market movements. He bases his operations upon certain natural laws which, though existing since the world began, have only in recent years been subjected to the will of man. What the heckity heck does all of that mean, Ian? What does any of that mean? Well, I'm going to show you. The key that I want you to tap into, that's going to unlock everything for us today, is this idea of natural law. Natural law is derived from the idea, I'm going to rephrase it, laws of nature. Ian, can I grammatically replace the words natural laws with laws of nature and not sacrifice any meaning? Is that a more modern way to express his thought? He bases his operations upon certain laws of nature, which, having existed since the beginning of the world, have only recently been understood in terms of how they affect market movements. Gann understands that the laws of nature profoundly impact how markets move and behave. Now, How would we know if his theory held any kind of water? Ian, how would we know if this guy deserves a place on the podium with the likes of Einstein and Nikola Tesla? I'm going to show you an example that will hopefully help you understand that I know what I'm talking about, that I am a qualified practitioner in the art of time cycles, and I will give you the keys to imposing order intraday and on a daily or higher time frame on the markets you trade. I'm going to show you how we can, with the aid of modern technology, predictive algorithms tied to powerful platforms and PCs, understand where the market you trade is going next with a higher degree of accuracy than a coin toss. And some of you lose far more often than you win. How many of you have been tracking Bitcoin in the news? It's up, it's down, you better get some, you better not get some. Elon Musk bought a crap ton of it. Michael Burry from The Big Short is selling it as hard as he can go. Institutional trading firms are buying it. Institutional trading firms are selling it. Your grandmother doesn't know what Bitcoin is. Your mother-in-law doesn't know what Bitcoin is. Your sister, who's younger than you, doesn't know what it is, but she's pretty sure it's destroying the climate of the earth. And it sounds to me, Lionel, like an insane market that we can never harness or impose order upon. Tim, would you agree with that statement? Donald, would you agree with that? Devinder, Chris, Bitcoin, if we try to predict where it's going to go, we may as well reach in a bucket half filled with Easter candy, half filled with scorpions, and see what happens first. We're going to get a chocolate bunny or a scorpion bite. 50-50. Who would agree with that? Yeah, Chris would say that was the case. Okay, now, wild, wild west, crazy market. Certain natural laws. Here's what he proposed 100+ years ago. I'm going to say it and then I'm going to show you. Bitcoin, whatever it is in the future, will be subject to the laws of nature, specifically vibration, and will, and though appearing chaotic, has inherent predictive order built into it. That's what Gann would say. This is a daily chart of Bitcoin futures. Question for the peanut gallery. Tess, what generally happens to the price of Bitcoin when we arrive at a day that has a large green dot under it? Anyone else want to answer? What direction does Bitcoin's price go the overwhelming majority of the time when we arrive at a big green dot day? You're asking stupid questions, Michael. My professor said those are rhetorical questions, and you're supposed to tell us it's a rhetorical question because we're not sure if you think we're that dumb and you need to ask us. Of course it's going up. And most of the time, where are the highs appearing? At the red dots. Rich, Would it benefit the world to know when the next green dot is coming and the red dot after that? Would that be something worth talking about in financial publications, on television, in forums? If we were able to somehow beforehand know when these dates were coming. If only there was some way to know in advance when these signals were coming. Does anyone know what these dots on my chart represent? Before I say it out loud and everyone looks at me like I'm silly. Does anyone want to take a guess? Yes, Bill got it. Tim got it. Nope. Graham got it. One more person, take a guess. Yep. You ready for this? Everywhere you see a large green dot is a full moon. Everywhere you see a large red dot is a new moon. Charles said, I was going to say it as a joke. Charles, does it sound as funny as you thought it did when you were saying it in your head? It's not really funny anymore, is it? People are like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, what? Stop. For real. For real. I can go on Google right now and I can type lunar phases 2021. And I can pull up a calendar. James, you see where it says May 26th, full moon? June 10th, new moon? Well, guess what? We can track that. Right? So let's go back and re-examine what our buddy said. Bitcoin, whatever it is in the future, will be subject to the laws of nature. And though appearing chaotic, has inherent predictive order built into it. Charles, does it stand the test of time? Does this stand the test of time? Do we get to call him a freaking genius? Yeah, of course we do. I'm going to do you one better, though. That's the E-mini S&P. Rich, what's going on here? What's going on? What's going on? I don't understand. The world is spinning right now, and I'm confused, and I don't understand what's happening. Is this guy crazy? Bill, how much does any of this have to do with the unemployment report? How much of any of this does this have to do with any report? It has no advance warning days, by the way, nothing. It has nothing to do with it. I'll show you one more cool thing. Can I show you one more cool thing before I teach you how our software works, Elijah? I want to build credibility with you because markets are predictive, which means in the upper right-hand corner, in 6 days, there's going to be another one of these. And Donald, what will the S&P probably do 6 days from now? Fill up with buyers. Now, someone usually says, hey, they did a study of this back in the 80s, and we found out that it doesn't have any effect whatsoever. No effect at all. So there, to which I respond, here. Before you completely dismiss it, open up your closed, biased, lagging indicator, crazy butt guru brain and look at the chart. Do you know how many people would be winning right now on a retail level if I could get this message out to them? Share this with your friends, your crazy crypto friends. Share it with them. I have a very small voice. If you have a friend at CNBC or one of these funky Bloomberg channels, please get me on so I can share this with the universe, because no one is listening to me right now. Now, I'm going to show you one other example of this that I've been following anyway. Using the two other phases. It's pretty crazy stuff, isn't it? I need to earn your trust. I'm going to earn your trust here today. Today, I'm going to earn your trust. Do not show that. Do not show this. Okay. Data series. 200 days. Data series. 200 days. Okay. How many of you trade options? Anybody? Trade options, follow Robinhood stuff. You trade stocks, you have a 401k, blah, 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 blah. This is Apple. This is Apple. Steve Jobs, iPhone, iPad, Apple TV. Everywhere you see, Bill, a little green dot on this chart is a moon that is half full. Rich, what does the price of Apple do most of the time on the half full moon days? Just look at it. Goes up more than half of the time, freakishly more. It's like the pivot. Everywhere you see a little red dot for the price of Apple is the third quarter phase, which is a half empty moon. Rich, it's a half empty moon or a waning moon. I think it's waning. Is it waning or waxing? Wax on, wax off. I never remember. Guess what's coming up in 11 days and 23 hours? What is going on this chart? Why doesn't anyone talk about this on TV? Why don't they teach this? I went to a conference and I gave a guy $10,000 and he showed me the Morningstar pattern and how to break out of consolidation and what a trend line is. This is the market telling us what it's about to do next. Telling us. And all I have to do is manage risk. And over here, that's the next buy point. And if I look at what happened at the predicted buy points, statistically speaking, a guy from 120 years ago, gave us the keys to trading profitably. So Rich, ready? I'm going to put a stop line right here. Watch it. What's the percentage over the last year for Apple? It's pretty high. Not too shabby. I'm showing you all this because he said something else that we built a tool for that automatically calculates what he knew in his head. He said time is the most important factor. How do we get the signals? William, study the past of the market you're trading. And when you do, you will be able to tell the future. The key to trading profitably is understanding the cycles of the past, identifying them, and projecting them forward into the future. Most of you are trading futures, but you should call what you're doing laggings.